Okay guys, so this is video 2 on today's lesson 5.2, 5.3. And again, to solve an inequality, it's exactly the same, almost exactly the same as solving an equation. But when you multiply or divide by a negative on your last step, you must change your inequality symbol. So on this worksheet, we have plenty of multi-step equations, right? Let's start with number 3. What would you do on number 3? To start getting t by itself. Okay, if you want to get rid of the fraction, you could do that first. I would get rid of this minus 5. It's easy, just plus 5, right? But if you want to, you could multiply the fraction, multiply everything by 5 to get rid of the fraction first. But if you do that, you're going to get slightly bigger numbers. But since you said it, I'm going to do it, right? Times 5, times 5, times 5. Everything by 5. I will have negative 25. This cancels. Minus t is greater than or equal to negative 45. Okay, so I've gotten rid of the fraction. Now let's start solving for t. So I am going to add 25 to get t by itself on the left side. I'm going to add 25. So what do I have left? I have a negative t is greater than or equal to negative 20. So my final step, I need to make that t positive. What do? I either multiply by negative 1 or divide by negative 1. Last time we divided by negative 1. This time I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So let me put this times negative 1 here and times negative 1 over here. So what do I have left? I have a positive t because a negative times a negative is a positive. I have a positive 20, but what happens with the inequality? You switch it, and why do we switch it? Because we multiplied by negative on the last step. So there's my answer, t is less than or equal to 20. Number 4, just like an equation, you want to get u by itself on one side. So the problem is you have u's on both sides. So let's get u by itself on one side. Which one do I get rid of, the 4 or the 6? It doesn't even matter. Okay, you guys say 4, I want to go with 6. It doesn't matter. You could get rid of the 4 if you want. See, here's the deal, guys. You're going to have to get the u on the left side anyway. Yeah? Repeat. You're going to have to get the u on the left side anyway. So even if you do get u by itself over here, at the end of it all, you're going to have to take your answer and then flip it. So I'm just going to move it to the left. So moving it to the, maybe on another one, I'll do what you guys said, get rid of the one on the left. But anyways, I want to move it to the left right now. That cancels out. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. So 4u, take away 6u, what do I get? Negative 2u. Let me do this in black. Negative 2u. Let's bring down negative 6. Let's bring down greater than or equal to. Bring down the minus 20. So my next step would be to get the u by itself by getting rid of the minus 6 first by going plus 6 and plus 6. Notice I'm not multiplying by a negative. I'm not dividing by a negative. So the inequality is not going to change. The negative 2u comes down. The inequality stays the same. I end up with a negative 14 right here. Because if I owe 20 and I have 6, I want to owe 14. So my final step here will be to divide by negative 2. That'll cancel out. And what I do to one side, I must do to the other, divide by negative 2. Now notice I'm saying that I'm dividing by a negative, and this was my last step. So I need to not leave it like that. I need to change it, right? To a less than or equal to positive 7. It'd be a shame if you do all that work, you get the right answer, but you don't flip that symbol. Again, we flipped the symbol because we divided by a negative. Number 5, let's get a by itself on the right side. Sure, this time we're going to get the a by itself on the right side. I want to get rid of the fraction, so I multiply everything by what? 3. Times 3, times 3, even the 1 times 3, everything by 3. 3 times 13 is 39. Greater than symbol stays. The 3's cancel out. I have 2a left over, minus 1 times 3 is 3. So let's continue to get a by itself on the right side. It's over here on the right side of the inequality. So let's get a by itself. What do I get rid of first, the 2 or the minus 3? The minus 3. So I want to get rid of that minus 3 by doing the opposite, plus 3. What I do to one side, I need to do to the other to maintain the balance. That will be a 42 on the left side. It's a greater than symbol. It didn't flip because I didn't multiply or divide by a negative. I only added 3 to both sides. I have a 2a left over on the right side. I need to get a by itself. So how do I get rid of that multiplication of 2? Divide by 2, divide by 2. So a is now by itself. I did not divide by a negative 2. I divided by regular 2, a positive 2, so that's not going to change. 42 divided by 2 is 21. Of course, you could use a calculator for all this. Now, this is your answer. That's great. That's correct. But it's better to take your answer and have your A on the other side. So you're going to take this whole thing and just flip the whole thing. So A is going to be on the left side. 21 is going to be on the right side. Now, this was the correct answer. It is the correct answer. So if it opens up to the 21, it has to continue opening up to the 21. So I'm going to put opening it up to the 21. It has to. When you flip it, everything flips, including the inequality. So that's your answer for number 5. Number 6, W is clearly on the left side of this inequality. I want W by itself, but it's in the middle of all this mess. So let's start getting rid of things. I don't want this fraction divided by 2, so I'm going to do the opposite of dividing by 2, which is multiplying by 2. Again, guys, notice when I multiply by 2, I put the 2 up in the numerator position. And of course, what you do to one side, you do to the other side. Now, the reason why I put it up in the numerator position is because the 2 on top over the 2 on the bottom, that cancels out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So what do I have left? I have a W plus 3 left, and I have a less than. It didn't change because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. And I have a negative 16 over here on this side. So I need to get W by itself. I'm going to subtract 3. Subtract 3. I will have W is less than negative 19. I did not flip the inequality symbol because I did not multiply or divide by a negative. What did I do here? I subtracted 3. I didn't multiply or divide. I subtracted. So that's your answer. Once again, on the multiple choice test, they're going to give it to you in a weird little bracket with the W with the straight line, and then the inequality W is less than negative 19. Do they give it to you like that on the answers in the back?
No.
Yes. Yes? Yeah, okay. So don't get weirded out by this. This answer is simply right here. Okay? Let's move on. Number 7, I want to get the F by itself. What do? Let's get rid of that fraction by multiplying by 5. So put a times 5 on both sides, and the 5s cancel out. You have a 3F minus 10 left over is greater than. You don't flip the inequality symbol because you did not multiply by a negative. Okay. If this would have been a negative 5 down here and you multiply both sides by negative 5, then yeah, you could flip the inequality symbol. Right here we multiplied by a positive 5, so you don't change it at all. And 7 times 5 is 35. So there's our new inequality, no fraction. Let's get F by itself. So we're going to get rid of that minus 10 by going plus 10 here. What you do to one side, you do to the other side, plus 10. We will have the 3F left over greater than, it didn't flip, 45. Final step, divide by 3 to get rid of the multiplication of 3 in front of the F. Divide by 3, what you do to one side, you do to the other. 3's cancel. F, do I flip it or keep it? Keep it. I did not divide by negative 3. I divided by positive 3. And 45 divided by 3 is 15. So ladies and gentlemen, there's your answer. F is greater than 15. Moving on to number 8. Let's get H by itself on one side. And you're probably thinking, hey, it's already done. H is by itself. Yeah, but the problem is H is also on the other side. So you do not want H's on both sides, okay? So let's get rid of one of those H's. Now, first of all, this fraction is messing everything up. So let's start by getting rid of that fraction by multiplying by 5 and multiplying by 5, okay? We are technically multiplying everything by 5. Now you think, wait, you're not multiplying the 6 by 5? Well, the thing is this whole fraction is being multiplied by 5, and that's exactly why the 5's cancel. 5 over 5 is 1. It cancels out. So let's rewrite our new inequality without a fraction. It's 5h is less than or equal to 6h plus 3, no more fraction. See, nice and easy. So what would you do next to get h by itself on one side? We still have it on both sides.
Minus 6h.
I would get rid of the 6h and move it to the left side. Even though it'll give me a negative, that's fine. Subtract 6h. Subtract 6h. That way we now only have negative 1h on the left side, less than or equal to positive 3 on the other side. So for my final step here to get h by itself, I'm going to divide by -1 because that's really the opposite of multiplying by -1. And when you do to one side, you do to the other side, divide by -1. So what do I have left? I have h. Do I keep the symbol or flip the symbol? Flip it, change it, right? And that becomes a -3. There is my answer. H is greater than or equal to -3. Number 9. Fun stuff. Why fun? Because it requires a lot of simplification. Once again, when you have any equation or inequality, the best thing to do is to simplify one side at a time. So let me forget about the left side. Let's just focus. Let's forget about the right side for a little while and simplify the left side. So let's distribute and combine like terms. That's what simplifying is. 3 times z is 3z. And then 3 times 1, that's +3. Bring down the +11. Out of those 3 terms, after distributing, out of those 3 terms, we could combine the 3 and the 11. The +3 and the +11, we could actually combine it. You don't actually show any work. You just circle it, combine it in your head. So 3 plus 11 is 14, and that's a +14. And of course, the 3z, you can't add it to 14, so you just bring it down and leave it. 3z plus 14. Ladies and gentlemen, we have simplified the left side. Now let's go for the right side. So let me just forget about this for a little while, and let's simplify the right side. On the right side, when you distribute -2 times z, that gives you a -2z. And then -2 times +13, that's -26. So you're going to put -26. And ladies and gentlemen, now that we've simplified the left side and the right side and there's nothing else to simplify, we simply bring down that equal sign, but it's not an equal sign, it's actually an inequality sign. We're going to bring that down. From here, we continue thinking about the goal, getting z by itself on one side. Where's the z at? The left side? It's on both sides, right? So you need to get rid of one of them. Which one would you get rid of? I would definitely get rid of the -2z by doing the opposite, +2z. Okay? Cancels. What you do to one side, you do to the other side, +2z. So what do we get on the left side? We get 5z, bring down the +14, bring down the inequality, bring down -26.
So wouldn't it be -2?
So now let's get rid of that 14 to get z by itself on the left side. So we're going to subtract 14. Cancels. What you do to one side, do to the other side, subtract 14. What do I have left on the left side? 5z is less than negative, if you owe 26 and you owe 14, you will owe 40 altogether. Final step will be to get rid of that multiplication of 5 in front of the z. So I'm going to divide by 5, divide by 5. So my final answer will be z. Do I keep it or change it? Keep it, because I did not divide by a negative.
Oh.
Right? I divided by a +5. Yeah, you have -40 divided by 5, but what are you actually doing on your last step? You're dividing by a +5. Who cares if there's a negative on the number you're dividing? But anyways, your final answer will be z. It stays less than, and that becomes a -8 over there. So z is less than -8. Let's move on to number 10. Fun. Crazy. Let's simplify. Let's do the left side first. Let me cover up the right side here. Let's simplify. What do I do first? Distribute. And when you distribute, I recommend circling it, including the sign that's in front. That way you know it's a +2. +2 times +4r, that's +8r. And then +2 times +2, that is +4. And what do we do with the 3r? You simply bring it down, 3r. So after distributing, you have to look at your 3 terms and see if any of them are alike. Yeah, the first 2 are alike. The 3r, you could actually add it with that +8r. So when you combine those, you get 11r. So we're going to have an 11r plus 4. You can't really add the r's and the 4. So that's as far as we could simplify the left side. So now let's look at the right side. And over there, all we have to do is distribute. 2 times 6r, that becomes 12r. And then 2 times 1, that becomes +2. So now that the left side simplified, the right side simplified, we could bring down our inequality, this inequality right here. Let's just bring it straight down. And now let's worry about getting r by itself on one side. So I've been moving the r this way on all these problems just to be a little different, to show you a different path. We're going to get rid of the 11r just to try something a little different. We're going to subtract 11r this time. And when you do to one side, you do to the other, subtract 11r. So what do we have left? On the left side, we have a 4. We have a less than or equal to. We don't change it because we didn't multiply or divide by a negative. And 12 take away 11, and we're talking about r's here. You're going to have 1r left. You don't even have to write the 1. You could just put r. And then bring down the plus 2. So for my final step here, I'm going to subtract 2 here and subtract 2 over here. So what do I have left? I have 1r on the right side. I have the inequality because I don't change it. I don't multiply or divide. I didn't multiply or divide by a negative. I only subtracted 2. So my final answer is a positive 2 over here. Now this is the correct answer, but you always want to write the variable on this side and the number on this side. So you want to take these guys and flip the whole thing. Okay, so if you flip the whole thing, you're going to end up with r and a 2 on this side. Now this is the correct answer. So if it opened up originally to the r, it has to continue opening up to the r. So let's continue opening up to the r. That's your final best answer. Now yes, this is correct, but this one's better. R is greater than or equal to 2. Let's move on. Number 11, a lot of people get freaked out because of this 0. 0 is a whole number. You don't have to worry about it. It's just a number right there. So all you have to do is simplify this side. This one's already simplified. So let's do that. Let's distribute the negative 3 times n. That's negative 3n. Let's distribute negative 3 times negative 6. That's positive 18. And then let's bring down the 5n that's left over in the front. After distributive property, you could try to combine like terms. Out of those 3 terms, you could combine the ones that are alike. The 5n, you could combine it with the minus 3n. And of course, you will get 2n. You just do that in your head. Bring down the plus 18. Bring down the inequality. Bring down the number 0. And let's get n by itself. So all you do is subtract 18 here. Subtract 18. You will have 2n is greater than or equal to negative 18. 0 minus 18 is negative 18. So for your final step, you're going to divide by 2. Divide by 2. So your answer is, the 2's cancel. N, do I keep the inequality or do I flip it? Keep it. Guys, the only time you flip it, the only time you change it is if you're dividing or multiplying by a negative. Am I multiplying by, or am I dividing by negative 2 right here? No, it's just a regular 2. So you keep it, all right? So we have to keep it. We need to know that. And of course, negative 18 divided by positive 2, that's a negative 9. So there's your answer for number 11. This video is getting long, so I'm going to stop right here and I'll explain the word problems and those special case problems on video number 3 today.